Hello, Schuco and Tin Toy fans. This is the Tin Meister, and today we're going to repair the Schuco 4012. There's a lot involved, so this is going to be a two-part video for you guys. So the first part is about taking it apart and cleaning it, and then I'll be putting it back together. Now, if you've seen the video we just did on the 4012, you know that the car has two wind-up motors, the drive motor and the music box or radio. So I'm going to show you how to take apart the music box and how to repair it. The music box is pretty complicated, so I'm not going to go into a whole lot of depth, but I will give you the basics of how to fix it. So let's analyze the 4012 that we have here, which I got on eBay. It has some broken parts and there are some missing parts, but the good thing is that almost all the stuff is there. For instance, the antenna is there, the radio switch is there, the bumpers are all there, the wheels are all there, all that kind of stuff. So that's good. So before we get started, it's really important that you guys have seen some of the prerequisite Tin Meister videos that I've recorded about repairing the cars. And some of those are listed here. The Combinato videos 1, 2, and 3, the Examico repairing number 1 and 2, and about the spring replacement. So if you've seen those, that will give you a leg up on following me on this video because I'm kind of moving pretty quick. So the first thing to do is to analyze your car, see what's missing and all that kind of stuff. Test everything out, make sure that you know what's wrong with it before you take it apart because you'll forget, believe me. I do. So to take the 4012 apart, there's two screws on the bottom. Here you can see they're mismatched, the ones that were in it. There's two screws and then the car should come apart fairly easily. So you can see the front screw is a big wide one, a sheet metal screw, and the other is actually a correct Schuco screw for this car, a machine screw. So there's where one of the screws was. It's kind of bunged up. And now we can take a look at how dirty this car was in the interior. So the first thing you want to do is take a brush and start cleaning off all the cobwebs and dust that's accumulated in the car over all these years. That's the, you want to do non-exploratory surgery first. And you can see there's a bunch of rust. We're going to take care of that. And the car is actually not too bad. The rust needs to be removed, but we'll take care of that. So before you take everything apart, make sure you take a lot of photographs because you can easily forget how parts go back together. You think you'll remember, but you won't, and then you're stuck. So it could take a month or more to get the car clean and all your parts in a row. So take those photographs. So what we're looking at here is, of course, the steering. You can see that it's kind of rusty, but also the green plastic box that surrounds the music box. It protects the music box and also holds the switch for the music box as well as the support for the steering wheel and holds the antenna. It also, of course, has the seat attached to it and that has the brake. So this part is very important. So the next step is to lift up the steering column and that will free up the green protective box over the music box and you'll lift the green box off. It's not connected with any screws. It just comes right off. So be careful when taking it off. You could hurt the music box, but if you're careful, you won't hurt it. So here is the music box and the various components you can see. So the components are the spring, which is underneath the silver cover. And then there is the drum, which is the brass part there. And then there's the comb. I call it the comb. I'm not sure other people do, but it's broken in this case, and we need to find a new part for that. The problem is the combs are not interchangeable. The comb is only made for that drum. Each song has its own comb and its own drum. So here's the heart of the music box. This is the fan, what I call a fan, and it controls the speed of the music box. And it also has a bunch of gears in it that need to be cleaned and make sure they're working properly. So again, this is the music box, and we'll take it apart in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a look at the green box. And you can see it needs a lot of cleaning and some rust removal. You can see the brake is held by the plastic, and it oftentimes breaks. And so when you get a radio car, you want to make sure, if you get one, that the brake is still in good shape and not broken off. They're very, very hard to replace. So here, with the next couple of slides, you can see how the brake works. It opens and closes and pulls on with a cam action. So you can see if it turns around, it'll raise it up and it'll put the brake on. So here's the switch for the music box, and it's held in with one tiny little spring. It's kind of rusty, but you can see it. So take your needle nose pliers and gently take that spring off, and you should have two pieces, the spring and the switch, and there they are. Okay, so now we're going to take the music box off of the chassis. There's only two screws that hold it in. Here you can see I'm holding the chassis, and here I am lifting up the music box off of the chassis after removing these two screws. And keep those screws separate. There's some other screws you're going to find that are very similar. And the drum comes off next. You have to take some small pliers or a wrench and remove that hex bolt off the end. And once that's removed, you can lift the drum out away from the spring mechanism. And there's the drum. So just to be clear, if the music box is working just fine, maybe it just needs to be cleaned and oiled, and you don't have to remove it, or at least don't have to take it apart. You should remove it, clean it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be taken apart if it's all working. So next, we're going to take the fan assembly or the regulator off of the chassis of the music box. It comes off with two screws. So here's the bottom of the spring assembly, and I warn you, do not pull that spindle out. Just leave it where it is. If you pull it out, you've got another project on your hands. So now let's continue taking the car apart. We're going to take the motor off. The typical Schuco motor has four tabs that need to come up straight, and then the front steering needs to come apart. So you can take all the rest off. It's a typical stuff. If you've seen the other videos, you know how to do this. So I'm going to move forward really pretty rapidly here rather than explaining all this to you because they're in the other videos. For instance, here's the motor. We show you how to clean the motor and derust it in other videos. So look at those. This motor was actually in pretty good shape, as I mentioned earlier. It needed to be derusted and lubricated, but it was pretty good. So now that you've got everything taken off of the chassis, it's time to straighten out the chassis as best you can. All those little tabs and stuff need to be straightened and ready to put back onto the body. And now it's time to take a look at the body. You can see that there are some scratches and there's dents and so on. But we want to take all that out as much as we can, and we can do that. If you look back at the old videos, they will show you some of the procedures I use to take off some dents. We don't really repaint these cars because I think it takes the value out of them. I think the original paint, even if it's got some scratches and so on, is worth keeping. So now we're going to take the windshield off, and it comes off with the dashboard. So there's two tabs underneath the dash there at the bottom of the car that need to be straightened out. And so there's the broken windshield and the dash, and they'll come out as a piece if you get those tabs straightened out. And then the windshield will come off of the dash. And when you put it back together, it'll go on the same way that it came off. So then, now once you pull that apart, you may have messed up the holes for the tabs. And so those need to be straightened out. And that's what we're looking at right here. So what I'm going to show you now are some plastic bags I use to organize my parts. And you want to have a lot of bags, a lot of clear plastic bags, different sizes to keep your parts in. And then you'll put them all into a plastic bin and you'll name everything. And so when you come to put it back together a month later or whatever, then voila, you'll be organized and you won't have lost any parts and you'll know where everything is. Amazing. And make sure you get a plastic bin for each of your toys that you take apart and only put the parts for that particular toy in that bin. Okay, well, it's finally time to clean everything up. So let's take a look at the body first. And we're going to use our paintbrush dry paintbrush and toothbrush to clean it up as best we can. If it's really dirty, don't be afraid to put it under some warm, sudsy water and clean it with a toothbrush or a towel. It won't hurt the car, especially if you have a compressor to dry it off with. Once it's dry, use Meguiar's cleaner wax to give it a good polish. And remember, all the cleaning supplies that I use and techniques are found in my other videos. So after the parts are all cleaned, here are the parts laid out to look at and verify they're in good shape. Everything is here except for the music box. That's kind of a separate item. Okay, so that's it for part one of the Schuco 4012 radio car rebuild. And we're going to be moving on to part two in just a few minutes. So stay tuned and I'll see you guys later.